Welcome back to the program, Cowboy State Politics Live. It's Open Line Friday, and so if there's something on your mind that you want to talk to me about, go ahead and give me a ring. The phone number is 307-374-8989, 307-374-8989. Now, one of my favorite guys in the Wyoming House is named Joel Guggenmos. He's from Fremont County, and he did me an enormous favor in the last election and got rid of Ember Oakley. Joel, I'm eternally grateful for that one. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Welcome to the program. So it's been quite a while since I've had you on the show. So why don't you give my viewers the couple-minute rundown of who Joel Guggenmos is?
All right. Joel Guggenmos. I'm a representative for House District 55, which is basically the town of Riverton, except some of the outskirts. This is my freshman term, and
something happened there. We lost the audio, Joel. There you go.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back. All right, go ahead.
Oh, weird. Been in Wyoming about 36 years. Lived there, grew up here. Moved back and forth between here and Nebraska a little bit, and South Dakota was my last stint away from here, but I always keep coming back. This is home for me.
All right, great. Well, so you're running for re-election, and so do you have an opponent yet, or is it so far just you?
Yes, Carl Manning has announced that he's going to be running for the District 55 House seat.
Okay.
And he's a school board trustee. He's been there for like 30 years.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you, if you're successful, what are the things that you want to work on in your next term?
Well, I'm hoping I can stay on the Education Committee and the Labor Health Committee, because those are the two committees that I'm on now. And we've been actually able to do some pretty good things in those committees and get some good bills out onto the floor. Not all of them have been successful, but a lot of good progress has been made. Another important thing that I'm working on now is your home title fraud protection.
Oh, yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah, it's becoming a pretty big issue. It's with AI, it's becoming even more of an issue. It's becoming easier for these people to falsify documents and take out mortgages on your properties. So I wasn't sure how the election was going to go, if I was going to have somebody run against me. Wasn't sure, so I went ahead and submitted a draft proposal to the Joint Corporations Committee, so that they can work through it and hopefully get it past the finish line, regardless of how the election turns out.
Okay, great. Well, one of the big things that we got through education-wise in the last session was the recalibration bill. Mm-hmm. And I'm still seeing, these education types, and I'm sure mostly it's school board members, claiming that, we don't have enough money now. All of the budget cuts that the recalibration bill put on us. Is that at all true?
There's a lot of complaining, like you said, but I mean, the amount of money that they have received in addition to what they were, we're talking 236 million or something like that per biennium more. I mean, that's a lot of money, and yet it's still not enough. It's never enough.
Well, no, of course not.
The biggest complaint that I received from the administration and the school districts was the silo. They did not like us siloing the teacher pay to where they could not take from it and put it into something else, like their football field pads. Or what they really did not like that. And I'm sorry, but the teachers, they're important and they need to be taken care of. So we did that. So hopefully the teachers will like that.
Well, the school board members definitely didn't like it. And I love this argument, because before we did the recalibration bill, the argument is, well, we just can't pay teachers. We don't have enough money. And then the legislature in 2025 passed that 8.5% raise for all school employees. It wasn't just teachers, it was everybody. And then there was only one school district in the entire state that actually gave that raise. And the rest of them, I mean, it was like 2%, 1.6%. The most egregious one was Teton County. And I don't even think they really gave a raise. So you said before you didn't have enough money to pay teachers. We give you money to pay teachers, and you still don't pay them. And then when we silo money demanding that you pay teachers, then you don't have enough money. I mean, it's the classic liberal, circular argument.
It was actually a really good exposure of their MO. It's always more money, and even if they're given more money, they will reallocate it to where it doesn't look like we gave them more money, so they can continue to ask for more money and try to justify it to the people. We're hoping that this silo thing will kind of help with that, to where the people will be able to see what these school districts are trying to do and expose it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know shortly after that happened, I wrote an op-ed and sent it to the Sheridan Press. And it was, your school district is lying to you, essentially, is what I said. And it was, I attached the graph from the Legislative Service Office that shows exactly who gave, who didn't give all the raises. And you would have thought that I accused them of hating their mother, because the school district exploded. And I think there was even an op-ed that was written in response that was like, Iverson is lying or something. I mean, it was crazy. One of the other bigger problems, and I wanted to talk to you about this, is the rising cost of housing. We hear on the left that, we have to have affordable housing, and, people just can't afford to live in different places. And, to some degree, that's true. I mean, property taxes are through the roof, and still, even though, we passed House Bill, 45 a couple of years ago. But as I understand it, you and your family were kind of a victim of that rising price of rental properties. Talk to me about that.
Well, we had been in a place for about 7 years in district, and we got a message from the landlady and saying that the cost was going to be going up substantially.
Okay. Define substantially. Are we talking like a couple $100? Are we talking like $1,000?
Sixfold. So it would have been up another $1,000.
Wow.
So that came as quite a shock, and it was expected immediately. That was kind of the thing that really was the biggest problem, is because there was no warning. There was no, hey, there's 3 months, 6 months down the road, whatever, then okay, we can plan for this, we can budget for it. But there was nothing. No advance warning. It was just, here it is, and take it or leave it.
So what'd you do?
We had to move. We realized this was not going to work. Looking at the house, if the house had been adequate, we would have stayed, but it wasn't. Not for that amount of money that they were asking. So we began to look for rentals. We looked to buy. We were trying to find something, and it was not an easy process. So we actually had to, there was my family, my parents, they had a camper on their property with an RV site on the property that they said, hey, you need to move in there while you look for another place that's available. So that became our only option. So we did, and sadly, it was outside of our district, the District 55. It was just outside, and not very far, but It was just
Still.
Still. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work. So I went ahead and called our LSO staff and I talked with them saying, okay, so this is a situation. Is this going to be a problem? Now, they obviously can't give personal legal advice. They represent the legislature as a whole. So they basically gave me the rundown of, okay, this is what's happened in the past because it's happened quite often. Okay, so this is.
Yeah, who can forget the Zwanitzer incident where he bought a different home? I mean, this is quite a bit different.
This was involuntary, and it was not moving into another home. This was living in a camper, very temporarily till we could find something that was going to work for us. So they basically said, okay, so there's a constitutional side, there's a statutory side, and they don't really mesh. The Constitution is the Constitution would not support vacating somebody's seat if they had to leave for a temporary time. Okay, so they're like, so if somebody tried to force a vacation, it would be very hard and difficult for them to do. It's like, okay. So with that, I was like, okay, we'll just go ahead and probably make the move while we look for something. So we did. So recently, we were finally able to find something that was going to work for us. And we're back in district now. We're back in Riverton. So it got a little interesting here lately. A few days ago, I got a call from a detective from the sheriff's office. Said he wanted to talk with me, and I was like, well, okay, what's this in regard to? He's like, well, I can't say that over the phone.
No, of course not.
Okay. Well, I was at work at the time, and he was trying to set up a time to meet, and I was like, well, I'm in Lander on a job right now. He's like, well, if it's okay, I'll just come meet you there. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So he showed up in Lander on the job, and we sat down and started talking. And before he got into what he was doing, wanted to talk with me about, which I didn't know what it was.
Sure.
I mentioned our situation. I was like, well, we just moved back into Riverton, had to move out for a temporary time due to a housing issue. And he's like, oh, well, that's actually why I'm here. I'm here to investigate where you're living, if you're in district or not. So I went over the whole thing with him and was able to prove, because I actually had a bill with me in the truck that had our new address on it. And so, you know, the investigator seemed like he was satisfied. I told him I talked with LSO. He reached out to LSO. And LSO was like, we can't tell you anything. This is confidential information. So the sheriff asked if I would release that, if I'd give a release to the LSO to give him the memo that he'd sent me, and said, sure, I've got nothing to hide. So I signed the release, and LSO shared with the sheriff investigator everything they had told me and sent me in the email. And so I guess we're just kind of waiting to see what happens there. I think he's finished his investigation. I think he's typing it up. We'll see what happens when he gives it to the sheriff.
Well, you know, the reason I know quite a bit about this is I did a gigantic investigation into Dan Zwanitzer. And this is kind of a curious place in Wyoming law, because it is the legislature itself that has jurisdiction in these matters. And, you know, man, I tried to nail Zwanitzer every way that I could. And I actually had, in that case, I had the deed to his new home, which was in a different district. It was in House District 10. I had pictures from a realty website of his old home that was completely vacant. They were trying to sell the house. And I mean, like, I had like all the documents in order. And so when I sent them to the LSO, it turns out it's the House of Representatives that has, has jurisdiction over that. And so they held a vote and all that, and they swept it under the rug. The difference there is, at least in my mind, and I'm not an attorney, but the difference in my mind is he chose to buy a new house. And then he gerrymandered his old district back in, his new house back into his old district. And the other weird thing, too, is in Wyoming statute, when it talks about residency, there's a phrase in there that says something like, if you intend to return home. So if you live in a place and then maybe you go for a vacation for a month in some other state, but you intend to move back. It's a curious little phrase, but it sounds to me like it's, hey man, this was no fault of your own. Your landlord jacked up your rent, and you got to do something. And you've got kids too, right? It's not just you and your wife.
It's me and my wife now.
Okay.
Her son has moved with his dad in Pennsylvania. So
okay. All right.
It's just the two of us now.
Okay. All right. So what are you doing campaign wise? You got your signs out? Have you set up town halls? Talk to me about it.
Haven't done any campaign signs yet. That's kind of in the works, getting locations figured out. Let's see. There are some forums that are planned and are in the planning stages. So I think there's going to be several that we'll be doing throughout the summer. So it should be interesting.
Great. All right. And now, so the question that everybody wants an answer to, and it's extraordinarily unimportant in my mind. So what's your view of the Wyoming Freedom Caucus? Are you a member, not a member?
I am not a member. They did ask me to join, and I respectfully declined. I guess my feeling on that is I wanted to, the people of District 55 elected me. So I want to represent them. And I didn't want there to be any kind of appearance like I was loyal to another group or anything like that. So I declined. I'm representing the district of District 55.
Yeah.
Now the people of the Freedom Caucus, I respect them a lot. We share a lot of the same values. Now I get accused of being Freedom Caucus all the time. The media will say I'm Freedom Caucus. Well, I'm not. If they're not saying I'm a member of Freedom Caucus, they're saying I'm a follower of Freedom Caucus. And it's like, okay, so apparently I can't have my views if they align with the Freedom Caucus views, because then that automatically makes me a Freedom Caucus member.
That's the narrative.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the narrative they use. Well, all conservatives are, and it's so fallacious that just because you happen to have, you happen to be like-minded as another group, that doesn't mean that you agree on everything, nor does it mean that you're part of their group. I mean, it's the way that they try to paint conservatives, that all of us have horns, and we meet in some smoke-filled room where you can hear whiskey glasses clanking in the background. And it's just a liberal establishment trying to paint conservatives as some sort of, some evil cabal when it's just not when it's not at all true. And the question I always ask people when I get bored on social media, the question I always pose is, give me one example, just one thing of something the Freedom Caucus has pushed through that you disagree with. Just one example will work. And invariably, it's just, I just don't like their tactics. Well, wait a minute. That doesn't have anything to do with how they vote. You don't like election integrity, or you're in favor of killing babies, or what's the deal?
The thing that I equate it to is you've heard of the Trump derangement syndrome. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have the very same thing with people when it comes to the Freedom Caucus. You mention the word Freedom Caucus, and it's like they just go nuts, and it's like, what is going on? I think it's kind of the same type of mentality. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, and it's frankly, I don't see anything wrong with any of the legislation that the Freedom Caucus has pushed through. Many of the people who are members of the Freedom Caucus, I would consider them friends. Definitely Definitely acquaintances, but I mean, I don't have a problem with any of them. Heck, one of them is my producer. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's so stupid.
Well, and the crazy thing is those Freedom Caucus members, and I don't even know who they all are who are actual members. I
Sure.
don't care. It doesn't matter to
I don't
me.
think it matters.
No, but it's like, what I do know is we all ran our campaigns on certain things, certain issues. And I haven't seen any of them deviate from that. So therefore, they were elected to go and address these certain issues that they've been addressing. And people are whining about the Freedom Caucus and their agenda. It's like, well, they campaigned on it. They were elected on it by the people. So basically, they're saying the people don't know what they're doing when they're voting for people like that. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, there was a great article in the Sheridan Press about Agent 29, Representative Pendergraft, and there was a line in it that said, "Representative Pendergraft has done exactly what he said he would do," and I was like, I don't know if they thought that was an insult or something, but I thought that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it proves that we are keeping our word. The Freedom Caucus is keeping their word. The individual members are keeping their word to the people. I'm keeping my word. I am voting the way I campaign. I'm keeping true to my promises.
Well, as you should, and I think you have. You know, I followed your voting record, not super close, but I mean, largely conservative. You and I are pretty much on the same page on a lot of the big issues: life, guns, you know, all those things. So, listen, Joel, I got to run, but if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that? Uh-oh, I lost your sound again.
That's weird. It just has a mind of its own.
Yeah,
they can
computer.
Call or text 307-488-8564, or they can email me at my legislative joel.guggenmos@wildedge.gov.
Right on. Well, Joel, appreciate you joining me this morning, and keep me updated on how your election's going. And I'm sure we'll have you on the program a little bit later. But thanks for joining.
Great. Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
All right. So that was Representative Joel Guggenmos of Fremont County. And I mean, I really like him. First time I interviewed him, it's a great interview. You should go back and listen to it again. But I really like the guy, solidly conservative, and I don't really have any issue with his voting record or anything. And by the way, any of these candidates that we're interviewing throughout the primary election, make sure that you're educated on how they vote, where they vote, and you can find a lot of that information pretty easily. Go to Evidence Based Wyoming. That's the website I use a lot, but there are others. Wild Vote, Wild Rhino. There's a whole bunch of them. And the interesting thing is almost all of these rating sites, even though their methodology is different, the people are different, and many of them, I have no idea who runs them. But the interesting thing is all the scores line up.